Welcome. In this video, we are going to talk about how we can change the color and style theme of a Quarto website. So we've got a nice kind of basic looking website that we've created so far that looks like this. And so we can snazz this up a little bit. And so there are a number of built-in themes that we can use with Quarto websites that will kind of update the overall feel of the website. So here are some popular ones that I might recommend checking out. But if you click on this link, it will take you to this Boots Watch website where you can take a look at all of the themes that are possible. So there are like 25 some odd themes. You can see them all listed out here. And these themes just change the coloring for the various buttons. They change the font size, the font type, and all of that stuff. So they have like an overall feel. And so if you're curious, you can click the preview button and it'll show you, for example, what the superhero theme looks like, what all the buttons are, and so on. So you can just play around with these themes and you'll probably come to one that you particularly like. I'm going to go ahead and change to sandstone. So we'll use this one here. No reason why. Apparently I want a touch of warmth. So that's why we're going to use that one. So to add a theme, we're going to go in and most of these aspects are going to be updated in the Quarto YAML. So I'm in the underscore quarto.yml file. And here what I want to do is under the format section, you can see there's a theme over here. So I'm going to just take away the brand theme and I'm going to add a theme or change the theme to sandstone. I think that the Cosmo was like the default theme, which is used. And I am going to delete these options as well. We'll get rid of them. So we're just going to use the sandstone theme. I'm going to save that change, and then I'm going to render the index file. So let's take a look at what the index HTML looks like after we update it. And here is the updated file. So this has now used the sandstone theme. You can see the color of the link has changed. The color of some of the text in the code cell has changed. The banner up top has changed. And when I click on this, I go back to the old one since I didn't render the change in the about or the favorites page. So these are still using the Cosmo theme, and I still have the table of contents on the side. This one is using the updated theme where there is no table of contents. That's not really necessary for this website. There's not much information here. And we've got a sandstone layout. So again, you could just go in to the YAML if you're curious about some of the other themes and just change the theme to something else. You can knit one of the files, or excuse me, you can render one of the files to see what it looks like. And if you're happy, then you can apply that to all the other ones. If you're not happy, you can keep on experimenting. While I'm here, I just want to point out that it is also possible to customize these themes. So if you like the colors of a theme, but you want to set the font size differently, you can change other elements of the theme. If you like sandstone overall, but you don't like the font size, or you don't like the color for the hyperlinks, you want to change that to something else. So these are a number of aspects that you could change. If you go into that themes link, this explains all of these various themes, and it also explains all of these other options that you can change. So there are other ones that I didn't list out before. But you can see here, this is a nice, helpful document. It just says below the theme, you enter all of these other things that you want to customize. So let's make some like wholesale changes. I'm just going to apply all of these changes here. You can probably guess what changes are being made. I do want to mention something about this. So here, when I change the colors, I'm going to change the font color and the link color. We get those colors using hexadecimal color codes. So that website over here is takes you to a website where you can play around with colors, moving the slider, moving this dot. And once you see a color that you think is nice, you can copy that hexadecimal code. And that's what you can use for some of these link colors and font colors. So that's how I got these hexadecimal. I went to that website, I picked a color that I liked, and then I used that over here. For the font size over here, I'm using units REM, and you might not be familiar with those. So these are relative units. So my suggestion is when you're changing font sizes to use relative units like EM or REM. So these just mean if I use like 3EM or 3REM, root EM, this just means 3 times as big as the body font. So everything is going to be relative to the body font. And that's generally going to be a nicer overall feel than if you use absolute units like inches and millimeters or centimeters. So I'm going to apply the following changes to the layout of our web pages. I'm going to change the font to Arial. I'm going to change the font size to 1.5 times the base font, the main font size. We're going to change the font color. You'll have to be surprised. We'll have to see what that does. We'll change the link color, and we're going to change the mono font as well. So I'm going to copy all of this, go into our studio, and I'm going to paste all of those changes below the sandstone theme. Change the formatting here. So now I've got my theme listed as sandstone. I just changed the layout of that a little bit. And then below that theme, I'm now saying change some of the elements of the sandstone. We're going to customize the font and the link colors a little bit there. So now I'm going to use the sandstone theme with some additional custom fonts and colors. Let me save this to my Quarto file. Let me check what it looks like by rendering the index file. That should be back here. So I'm going to update this. And now you can see the font sizes have changed. The font colors have changed. And the link, the color has changed. So we changed all of those things. Clicking on one of these others, these are still, I didn't render those other pages using that new YAML. So this is still using the old settings. This is using the new settings. So at some point, I'm going to want these all to be the same, obviously. But right now, I'm just experimenting with the YAML. Once I've got that YAML file finalized, I can then choose to render all of these separate web pages. So that's how we can change the theme, the font colors, font sizes. In the next video, we'll talk about how we can create an about page.